It was just another freezing winter night in Chicago. The streets glistened with patches of ice, cars rushed by leaving trails of snow in their wake, and people hurried home wrapped in layers of warmth. But beneath a bridge near Roosevelt Road sat a man whose presence few noticed. His name was Marcus. Marcus had been homeless for the last 6 years. Once a mechanic with a stable job and a small apartment, life had unraveled for him after a chain of tragic events. A workplace accident had injured his back, his insurance failed to cover his recovery, and soon, he lost his job. What followed was a slow spiral: rent unpaid, eviction, and nights in shelters that gradually turned into nights on cold pavements. Despite everything, Marcus hadn't let bitterness take root in his heart. He was quiet, polite, and always willing to lend a hand to others struggling like him. Over the years, he'd learned to survive with almost nothing. A tattered jacket, a worn-out backpack, and a folded blanket were all he owned. But his heart was full. That night, Marcus found his usual spot under the bridge, already taken by another man, younger, maybe in his early 20s, curled up tightly, shivering violently. The boy looked new to the streets, his skin still clean, clothes slightly torn but not yet layered with the grime of weeks outside. His eyes were open wide, blinking tears away, not from sadness, but from the bitter cold stabbing his bones. Marcus walked over, noticed the boy had nothing with him but a light hoodie and sneakers. No bag, no blanket, no gloves. He knelt down slowly, back aching, and said softly, "You new out here?" The boy nodded, lips trembling too much to form words. Marcus took off his blanket, the only barrier between him and the icy ground, and wrapped it around the boy. "This'll help a bit." The boy's eyes welled up instantly. He looked at Marcus with disbelief. "But what about you?" he whispered. Marcus smiled faintly. "I've been through colder nights. You needed more." And then, without asking or expecting anything, Marcus sat beside him, his back resting against a graffiti-covered pillar, arms tucked into his sides for warmth. The wind howled louder, but he didn't move. Unbeknownst to Marcus, a woman sitting in her car across the street had witnessed the entire interaction. Her name was Leah. She had stopped at a red light and noticed the two men. Something about the way Marcus gave away his only blanket without hesitation made her pull out her phone and record the moment quietly. She didn't mean to invade their privacy. She just felt this moment needed to be remembered. Later that night, Leah posted the video on social media with a simple caption: "He had nothing, but gave everything." This is the kind of person we should all strive to be. By the next morning, the video had been shared over 200,000 times. People were stunned. Comments flooded in from all over the world. Who was this man? Where could they find him? They wanted to help. They wanted to know his story. Leah, overwhelmed by the reaction, returned to the bridge early the next morning. Marcus was still there, asleep on the pavement, his arms blue from the cold. The blanket had been tucked more tightly around the boy, who was now sleeping soundly. Leah approached Marcus gently, carrying 2 hot coffees and a thick thermal blanket she had bought that morning. As he stirred awake, she handed him the coffee. He looked at her, confused. "I saw what you did last night," she said softly. "You gave the only thing you had to someone else." He blinked slowly. "It wasn't much." "It was everything," she replied. Leah introduced herself and asked if she could talk to him. Marcus hesitated but nodded. They sat on the curb, sipping coffee, steam rising between them like a quiet acknowledgement of the warmth she brought. Marcus told her bits of his story. Not for pity, just matter of fact. Leah listened, genuinely. Then she asked, "If you could do anything today, what would it be?" He smiled. "I'd like a job. Something to do with my hands again. Maybe fix things." Leah posted another update with Marcus' story. She included his first name and a message: "Let's help Marcus rebuild." Within 2 days, a local community group contacted her. They raised enough money to get Marcus a week's stay at a motel, warm clothes, toiletries, and meals. But it didn't stop there. A man named Thomas, owner of a small auto repair shop, reached out. He had seen the video and remembered Marcus from years ago. They had worked on a project together when Marcus freelanced before his injury. "He was the best pair of hands I ever hired," Thomas wrote. He invited Marcus to come by. Leah drove him to the shop. Marcus walked in slowly, unsure if it was real. Thomas greeted him with a wide grin and a firm handshake. "You still got it in you?" he asked. "I think so," Marcus replied. "Then let's get you back in coveralls." That afternoon, Marcus worked on his first car in 6 years. He was rusty, but his instincts kicked in. The smell of grease, the hum of engines, it all felt like home. Meanwhile, the story kept spreading. News stations picked it up. Offers of support poured in: food, housing, job referrals, even healthcare assistance. A non-profit specializing in helping homeless individuals re-enter the workforce reached out. They offered him a long-term apartment placement and counseling support. Marcus couldn't believe it. All because of one act of kindness. But there was more. The boy he helped, the one shivering in the cold, his name was Kyle. He had run away from an abusive home, thinking the streets would be safer. After seeing Marcus again and learning about what followed, Kyle agreed to speak to Leah. Through her connections, Kyle was placed in a youth shelter with trauma counseling and education opportunities. Months passed. Marcus now had his own one-bedroom apartment. Modest but warm. A couch he picked out himself. A fridge with actual food. A key that opened a door that was his. He never stopped working. He fixed cars by day, volunteered at shelters by night. "I know what it's like to have nothing," he'd say. And sometimes, that's when you realize you still have something to give. One evening, Leah visited Marcus. She found him in his small living room, sewing up a tear in an old jacket he planned to donate. She asked him if he ever imagined life turning around like this. Marcus looked at her and said, "No. But kindness, it's a chain reaction. Someone sees it, they feel it, and it wakes something up inside." That night, I didn't do anything special. I just did what I hoped someone would do for me if I needed it. Leah smiled. "You lit a fire in the world, Marcus. Just by being yourself." The video that Leah posted had now crossed 12 million views. But Marcus didn't care about the numbers. He cared about the letters he received. Messages from strangers. From teens who stopped bullying others. From people who said his story pulled them out of depression. From old friends who told him they were proud of him. From mechanics who offered him tools and support. From single mothers who said they now believed good men still existed. He kept every letter in a box under his bed. He read one every night before sleeping. And as for Kyle, he finished his GED, found a part-time job, and started writing poetry. He said Marcus taught him what it means to be a man, not by strength, but by heart. In the end, the act of giving a blanket, a simple, quiet choice on a cold night, changed not one life, but countless. Marcus had nothing, yet gave everything. And the world, for once, gave back. This is what kindness looks like. Raw. Real. Unscripted. Thank you for watching Story Sport.